Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Day 292 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg has warned that the war could spread to other countries and turn the conflict into a full-blown war between NATO and Russia. But, he added, the alliance is working with all its might to prevent this from happening. One for all and all for one, the General Secretary of NATO, in an interview with a Norwegian TV station, recalled the alliance's motto. At the same time, he gave assurances that he is doing everything to prevent the conflict from spilling over into the rest of Europe. I am concerned that the war in Ukraine could get out of control and turn into a major war between NATO and Russia. NATO's most important mission is to prevent a full-scale war in Europe, and we are working on this every day. One of the most competent people in the world says this. This is a man who has full knowledge of the situation because he decides on the operation of NATO. His level of competence is at the level of President Biden. The United States President confirmed that he has once again spoken to Volodymyr Zelensky about the possibility of strengthening Ukraine's air defense.
Mr. President, speak to President Zelensky today.
Yes.
As always, the conversation with President Biden was concrete and fruitful. I thanked him for another military aid package. We discussed our further cooperation on air defense. We also talked about energy, reconstruction and financial matters. We are not stopping. We continue to fight for freedom. Today, the President of the European Commission spoke about energy and gas in particular. The information that Ursula von der Leyen gave may be of concern.
We are safe for this winter. Russia's blackmail has failed. To adopt them swiftly, because preparing for the next winter, winter 23-24, starts now. I know from your data that despite the action that we have taken, we might still face a gap of up to 30 billion cubic meter of gas next year.
The West is worried about energy prices and forced energy savings. Meanwhile, many Ukrainian cities are not only running out of energy, water and food, but their residents live with the constant fear of another attack. Tonight, for example, the region alone was shelled 57 times. 2 people were killed and 5 more were wounded. Missiles also fell on Donetsk, killing 2 civilians, and 8 people were injured. We used to have European, Chinese and Russian goods. Now it is mainly Russian. There are many difficulties with the supply of European goods. There is a military hospital in the Donetsk region near the front line where doctors are fighting for the lives of Ukraine's defenders. There are days when there are many seriously wounded, 4 or 5 amputations at a time. Other days, there is no one for 2, 3 or 4 hours. No 2 days are the same. Of course, there are difficult moments, especially when our own attack. Then we work for 5, 6 or even 7 hours without a break. Russian attacks on Ukraine's critical infrastructure causing civilians, cut off from energy and central heating, to install makeshift stoves in their homes. As a result, the number of accidents is increasing significantly. According to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry, over the past 24 hours alone there have been 142 fires, in which 10 people were killed and 6 injured. President Andrzej Duda met German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier in Berlin. The leaders discussed bilateral relations, military and energy security, and a potential winter wave of refugees from Ukraine. Our reporter, Łukasz Muda, was there.
One of the main topics of the talks held between Polish President Andrzej Duda and German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier was the issue of security in connection with the continuing war in Ukraine and the offer to lend Poland German Patriot missile defense sets. We hope that in the coming days, the relevant groups of Polish and German experts will meet, determine the locations of the dislocation of these batteries of the Patriot system, and then that these batteries will soon show up physically to create this protection. Of course it is necessary, as I told the President, to plug these batteries into the entire Polish air defense system. I am glad that there is an agreement in principle about stationing the missile sets. The details are now being discussed at the ministerial level. But dear Andrzej, I recall that a few hours after the missile strike in eastern Poland, we talked to each other, and I remember how great the fears were, that we were in an escalation phase of the war. They were great at the time, including outside of Poland. The presidents also discussed the very real scenario of a humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, resulting from the Russian Federation's continued shelling of Ukraine's critical infrastructure. Because of this, 6 million Ukrainians are already left without electricity and heating, which could trigger another wave of refugee migration to Poland and Europe. One-on-one talks also took place on the subject of Poland obtaining reparations from Germany for losses suffered during World War II. And although the opinions of Warsaw and Berlin differ on this issue, Poland has all along stressed the importance of resolving this dispute as part of historical justice.
Również i kwestie trudne, zwłaszcza te, które mają bardzo często wymiar także i moralny.
Also difficult issues, especially those that very often also have a moral dimension and the dimension of eliminating some of the past and historical barriers, such as the problem of compensation to Poland for the destruction in World War II. These are important issues from the point of view of Poles, and we will also talk about these issues. I believe that they will be positively resolved over time. Andrzej Duda's visit to Berlin is another meeting of Polish and German heads of state this year. It is worth noting that it was held at the invitation of the President of the Federal Republic of Germany. From Berlin, Łukasz Żmuda, TV Republika.
Tensions are rising in Kosovo. Last night, local Serbs blocked roads with heavy vehicles and trucks. Gunshots and explosions were heard on Saturday night, but there are no reports of casualties. A stun grenade was thrown at a European Union police patrol. Early today, police officers patrolled the streets of Mitrovica in northern Kosovo, carrying AK-47 assault rifles. Ethnic Serbs maintained a blockade on the road to Rudare. On the third consecutive day of protests after an exchange of fire with police took place after the arrest of a former Serb police officer. The European Union The European Union policing mission, EULEX, said a stun grenade was thrown at one of its cars, but there were no injuries. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell called on both sides to de-escalate and return to the negotiating table. The United States Special Envoy for the Western Balkans met Kosovo's President, Vjosa Osmani, on Monday, on the third day of protests by ethnic Serbs in northern Kosovo that have blocked roads in the region. US Envoy Gabriel Escobar met President Vjosa Osmani in Pristina after the United States and European both called on both sides to defuse the tensions and return to the negotiating table. Serbia demands the release of all arrested Serbs from northern Kosovo, but also seeks to defuse tensions in the restive region, President Aleksandar Vučić said on Sunday. Kosovo declared independence from Serbia in 2008, with the backing of the West following the 1998 to 1999 war in which NATO intervened to protect Albanian-majority Kosovo. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.